The Weishaupt-dictated Illuminist code enshrines lying, deceit, treachery, treason, brutality, violence, torture, and murder. Alfred P. Murrah Federal Buildings, World Trade Centers, Vicky Weavers, Branch Davidians as sources of strength. Vis-a-vis the stupid, dilettante folks who accept civilization, culture, ethics, morality, and religion as their code. He uses these things to bring these people who appreciate civilization, culture, ethics, morality, and religion as their code to their knees to beg for more control so that their freedom can be taken away from them in exchange for security against Alfred P. Murrah Federal Buildings in Oklahoma City, World Trade Center buildings in New York City, Waco massacres in Texas, and all of the other machinations of this vile organization that is destroying the United States of America and stripping your freedom from you as you stand there and watch, begging them to take more. It is amazing to me to watch all of this happening. And try as I might to stop it and to wake you up, see that it just continues as you continue to sleep. It can't happen in America. This can't happen to me. This couldn't possibly be right. You're a conspiracy theorist. Isn't that right? And you say it from a position of complete ignorance, never having done the research or a lick of study on the subject in your life. And you watch the agents of this conspiracy tell you what to say and echo on the boob tube in your living room, and like dutiful puppets, that's exactly what you do. How many of you, after the Waco massacre, echoed to your friends and neighbors, they were just a bunch of religious fanatics, they deserved what they got in America? The land of the free and the land of the brave. The land where the rights of the individual triumph above all, in order to protect the whole, all of us, from tyranny. Well, they must have done something wrong, or they wouldn't have done what they did. I wonder what you will say when it happens to you. And if you continue the way you are going, it is guaranteed to happen to you. Weishaupt taught that savagery would serve to intimidate, subjugate, and terrorize their adversaries, and thereby serve to speed the attainment of the conspirators' goal, which is the subjugation and enslavement of the more decent elements of mankind and the concentration of complete and total power in the hands of the Illuminati. Weishaupt taught that human life is worthless and meaningless except as a device to further his conspiracy. Can you imagine that? A human being believing that human life is insignificant, is of no import, no consequence whatsoever. His followers have been instructed to lie without scruples, to deceive and betray without hesitancy, and they do it every day, and you watch them do it every day. Many of them you have voted into office. Others you work for or follow in some manner. Some are standing at the pulpits of your churches. They always have been enjoined to deny their adherence to the conspiracy, to deny its illuminist, socialist, communist character when exposed, and to regularly attack and vilify their accusers and pose as injured parties whose civil rights were violated because we pinned them with the truth. You see, Weishaupt and his associates set the example for the conspirators by hiding their criminal activities behind aliases, a custom that still prevails among these people. The destruction of existing governments, all existing governments, Weishaupt planned to obtain through any device that would serve to weaken and destroy them. Internally within the nations, the recommended devices are spending the nation into bankruptcy and inflation. Class warfare, especially between labor and capital and between the races, revolution and civil war. The destruction wrought between nations by economic and physical warfare, however, was recommended by Weishaupt as most effective in leveling down all nations to a common denominator of misery that would make them all ready prey for a dictator and facilitate the attainment of the goal of the conspirators. One world, united in serfdom under one dictator. And you see the signs of this everywhere. They are preparing you for it. AT&T, one world, one card. Naturally, the attainment of this ultimate goal, ladies and gentlemen, required the elimination of patriotism and the fostering of so-called internationalism, and that's why patriotism has become a dirty word in America. That's why patriots and militias are attacked viciously, even though they have always been the first line of defense and the first to stand up and die in defense of freedom for the American people throughout the history of this country. And yet you parrot the words of your Illuminati masters and defame and defile and slander and libel your neighbors, who understand what is happening and are ready to stand once again on the front line of defense of freedom for those of you who are not even worthy of these people who would give such a noble sacrifice. And that is the truth. Why should they die for you when you are ready and willing to give it all up, and when you are ready to sell them down the river? Because you heard some slimy politician who has lied all of his life and continues to lie to you and is in the process of subjugating this nation to slavery through unconstitutional and treasonous legislation, because you heard him say so. You are puppets. When they pull the strings, you dance to the tune that they play, and you parrot what they say, because you are afraid that if you don't, you won't get your benefits. Isn't that the truth also? Socialism is for weaklings. Socialism is for parasites. Socialism is for those who would steal the sweat off the brow of those who legitimately earn what they have. And that also is the truth. How will they support this great world of socialism? They will exploit those who are able to produce and work. And they will take all of the production from these people and give to those who cannot or will not or won't. Because in doing so, they build their base of power. For those who are dependent upon Big Daddy will never allow Big Daddy to come falling down. They must support their source of sustenance, and that is where the power of socialism comes from. From the basest defects of the human animal comes the power of socialism. The desire in most people to not be responsible, to not work, to not produce, but to become once again children, and to have the state become their daddy. And that is the truth. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time. This 2 hours has gone by much too quickly, for I have so much more to tell you, but that will have to wait for another day. I hope that you are now illumined. Have I turned on any lights? Good night. God bless each and every single one of you, and may God save this republic.
Who is the modern man? What sort of creature inhabits the modern domain? Well, the puppet masters say he is the smartest, most advanced individual to ever strut the planet, the most relatively liberated being in history. But Louis Ferdinand Céline said it well, quote, "What does the modern public want? It wants to go down on its knees before money and before crap," end quote. You see, the public have been trained to do this by two principal methods: direct speaking archetypal messages of pure terror, psychic driving, as the CIA's Dr. Ewan Cameron termed it, encoded in massively publicized lone nut mass murders, and the sinister flattery heaped upon them by their masters in the cult of civilization and progress. The acid test of a human being's freedom and will to protect the quality of his life lies in a person's attitude toward his oppressor. And what is modern man's attitude toward Wall Street and the bankers, the elite, that body of adepts known as the secret college? What is modern man's attitude toward Dan Rather and the ignorance-bestowing media and advertising man, toward Lincoln and Truman, Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Reagan, George Bush, Johnny Carson, Exxon and Monsanto, and William Clinton? As one writer has observed, and I quote, "The most amazing thing about the American people is that they are constantly defending their worst betrayers," end quote. So I ask you again, who then is the modern man? Well, if you've listened to this broadcast long enough, you know my interpretation. He is a mind-bombed patsy, an ignorant, apathetic twit who gets his marching orders from twilight language keywords sprinkled throughout his news and current events. And even as he dances to the tune of the elite managers of human behavior, provoked by buzzwords, he scoffs with great derision at the idea of mass mind control emanating from the media and government. And that is most unfortunate. Modern man believes that he is much too smart to believe anything as superstitious as that. But the truth is, modern man, ladies and gentlemen, is the ideal hypnotic subject. Puffed up on the idea that he is the crown of creation, he vehemently denies the power of the hypnotist's control over him, even as his head bobs up and down on the string. What we observe in the population today are the three destructive symptoms of persons whose minds are controlled by alien forces, and I do not mean from Mars. These forces are amnesia, in effect loss of memory. The second is abulia, or loss of will. The third is apathy, loss of interest in events vital to one's own health and survival. Amnesia, abulia, and apathy are nearly universal among us today and gaining a greater foothold with every passing day. A Japanese philosopher, George Osawa, stated that there was only one incurable sickness: arrogance. If a patient does not regard himself as sick, he cannot submit to a cure. That's why I've urged you, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see what is wrong with America today, go into your bathroom and look into the mirror. You will find the problem staring at you. And at that point, when you make that realization, you must admit to yourself, I have been stupid, I am ignorant, I am apathetic, and I must change. And if you do not, nothing will change, nothing will become better, nothing at all. The arrogant man does not need to see. He already sees almost everything. And what he thinks he has yet to learn, he believes the experts will one day show him. These experts, they do not have the man's interest at heart. They are not really doctors of the soul, ladies and gentlemen. They are, in fact, his worst enemies. His most cunning manipulators who lead him to do their bidding like any slave master since Egypt. Why then does modern man revere them? Well, very simply, because, ladies and gentlemen, they flatter him. And that's why I tell you the truth, no matter who it hurts or helps, even if it hurts me. And oh, how you hate it. Oh, how you hate to hear the truth. The man who tells the truth is universally disliked by every person, because every person has an agenda and is hiding behind a fantasy which the truth penetrates like an arrow and leaves him stripped naked before the whole universe. And he does not like that. But yet it must be. For a great man once said, my leader once said, seek ye the truth, and the truth will make you free. Nothing else will. And without the truth, no man or woman is free, can be free, or ever will be free. But the truth hurts. The truth strips all away and stands golden before all men. Yet how many of you trade that gold of the truth for the lead of the fantasy and the lie? Many of you are going backward in the alchemical process.
The real world is much different than you have ever perceived it. There are those who want to take it all away from us, and they want to establish what they call a new world order. A one-world totalitarian socialist government wherein each of us will be controlled on a 24-hour-a-day basis and will, in fact, be chained to a computer in a system of cashless debt which will be more cruel than any prison that has ever been built. You all sit there in your chairs and you watch all of these things being violated. Police breaking down doors without identifying themselves. They rush in, they rip the house apart, they search everything. It's against the Constitution, the basic rights, freedoms guaranteed to us in this country. The reason why you allow it to happen and cheer them on is because they're doing it to minorities, blacks, what some people would call poor white trash, minorities, Haitians, Puerto Ricans, Hispanics. And because you're basically racist at heart, you say, get those suckers, throw them in jail. What you don't understand, though, is when you take away the rights of any single one of us, any one citizen in this entire country, you have taken the rights of all. And by your passive acceptance, after you have been shown what is happening, to establish the law again in the common law, that you no longer have those rights. That is a legal fact, ladies and gentlemen. If you do not stand up and claim your rights the moment you see them violated, it can be construed in law that you no longer are entitled to those rights. Wake up. Please wake up.